Hello, radiant soul. Welcome home to this sacred space, where your light is seen, honored, and gently magnified. If you've been moving through life wondering whether your presence truly matters, whether the way you show up in your raw, golden-hearted truth makes a difference, then dearest Leo, this message is for you. Sit with me now and allow the universe to speak to your spirit. Today, I bring you a whisper from the cosmos, wrapped in quiet fire and soul-deep knowing. It is not a message of urgency or effort. It is a revelation of what already is. Without trying, without even realizing it, you, beloved Leo, are teaching a man, a deeply searching soul, a lesson he has longed for, but didn't know how to receive. Through your courage to be seen as you are, through the way you carry your joy, your wounds, your fire, and your flaws, without apology, you have become a living answer to questions he's never dared to ask aloud. This isn't just a coincidence. It is divine choreography. Somewhere in your orbit, a man is watching, not in a way that intrudes, but in a way that reveres. He is absorbing your authenticity, learning how to stand tall from the way you rise after each fall, learning how to feel from the way you express, learning how to lead from the way you simply live. And my love, the truth is, this healing, this awakening, this quiet miracle is happening simply because you exist as your luminous Leo self. Stay with me, because what comes next will illuminate not only the impact you are having on his life, but also awaken within you a new level of self-awareness, of divine leadership, of soul purpose. Let's walk deeper into the fire together. And so, while you live your life in quiet authenticity, laughing when your heart feels joy, crying when it breaks, rising when life humbles you, there is a man whose soul is awakening simply by being near your orbit. He may never say it aloud, may never find the words, but he is watching you not out of curiosity or desire, but from a deep, sacred place of longing. Not longing for you necessarily, but for truth, the kind of truth he sees reflected in the way you walk through the world. To him, you are not merely a person. You are a living revelation. Through the rhythm of your daily existence, he sees a mirror that gently exposes his own disconnection from his essence. In your presence, something long buried in him begins to stir. What touches him is not performance, not perfection, but your quiet courage, the kind that doesn't need an audience. He watches how you enter rooms not to dominate, but to be. He sees how you speak with conviction even when your voice trembles, how you allow yourself to be seen even in moments of uncertainty, and how you carry both your brilliance and your brokenness without apology. Your rawness is not something you edit. It is something you offer. And in a world addicted to masks and illusion, this is revolutionary. You do not hide your flaws behind polished smiles. You do not shrink so others may feel taller. Instead, you stand, fully, vulnerably, and beautifully, in your truth. And without a word, you are teaching him that he, too, can choose the same. He is learning from the way you love yourself, not as a performance of confidence, but as a practice of devotion. You do not seek applause to validate your worth, nor do you wait for someone else to tell you that you matter. You love yourself in the sacred, quiet moments when no one is looking. You speak kindly to your reflection even after failure. You hold space for your own complexity without shame. This, dear Leo, is the medicine he has been starving for. A model of self-love that is not inflated, not performative, but rooted in wholeness. More than anything, he is learning from your presence. Not your control, not your direction, but the silent way your energy fills a space without force. You do not lead with dominance. You lead by simply being rooted in who you are. There is no manipulation in your influence, only magnetism. And this is where the true transformation begins. In your gentle power, he sees a new kind of strength, one that doesn't need to overpower but rather empowers, one that doesn't demand obedience but awakens others to their own sovereignty. This is the leadership of the soul. And this is the lesson you are teaching him, simply by existing in your divine, unapologetic light. You are not just a person navigating the turns of a single life. You are a living torch, an embodiment of divine fire wrapped in human form. When you shine from the truth of who you are, not because you're trying to impress, but because your soul refuses to dim, something extraordinary happens. You don't just light up your own path. You quietly set fires in the hearts of others. You don't demand transformation, you inspire it. You give others invisible permission to breathe more freely, to speak more honestly, to exist more fully. There is something about the way you show up in your own skin, unpolished yet radiant, flawed yet fearless, that whispers to others, you are allowed to do the same. And this man, whether he is a friend who's always lingered in the background, a colleague whose eyes soften when you walk into the room, or even a near stranger whose soul collided briefly with yours, is not merely observing you. He is being moved by you, on a level that bypasses logic and enters the terrain of the sacred. His spirit is being rearranged. Something dormant is waking up in him, not because you told him how to live, but because you are living. And that's the miracle. You never set out to teach. You never positioned yourself as a guide. Yet through your quiet rebellion against the need to conform, you have become a way-shower for a heart that had long forgotten its own compass. Healing, in its truest form, rarely arrives with fanfare. Often it comes softly, like the warmth of a sunrise on skin long touched by cold. That's what your presence has become for this man. You are the gentle light melting the ice around the edges of his self-worth. You are the silent melody restoring rhythm to his inner song. Your authenticity is not just inspiring, it is medicinal. It's touching wounds in him he didn't know could be reached, and reminding him, without words, that it is safe to come home to himself. He may never confess it. He may not even fully understand what is happening, but something within him is shifting. He is beginning to remember that he too carries light, that he too can be seen without performing, that he too can live without pretending. And all of this is unfolding, not because you tried to save him, but because you chose to save yourself from smallness, from silence, from the pressure to hide. You chose authenticity, and that one choice became a sacred offering that reached a soul in need. That, dear Leo, is the magnitude of your magic. That is the quiet revolution of your light. Leo, do you truly know who you are in the grand weave of the cosmos? You are not merely another spirit passing through time. You are a cosmic spark sculpted into human form, born under the sun's most radiant signature, not to overshadow, but to ignite. The universe in its wisdom crafted you with a rare kind of fire, not just to warm your own path, but to become a living testament of what it means to live with full-hearted courage. You are the archetype of radiant truth. Where others may second-guess, you embody. Where others may shrink, you expand. And this is not something you learned. It is something you are. Your role in this lifetime is not to bend or contort to make others comfortable. Your sacred task is to shine with unapologetic honesty, to walk through this world with your chin lifted and your heart open, even when it has been wounded. You were never meant to blend in, Leo. You were born to stand tall, not in arrogance, but in remembrance of your divine design. Because when you stand in your truth, when you live without performance, you become a lighthouse for those still lost in fog. You inspire not through instruction, but through existence. Simply by being who you are, you show others that it is safe to be seen. And this is your sacred magic. You do not need to orchestrate massive gestures, change the world through speeches or strategies, or seek external validation to matter. The truth is, Leo, when you live aligned with your essence, when you are sincere, when you are brave enough to feel, when you show up as the full spectrum of your being, you ripple outward in ways you may never see. You shift atmospheres. You awaken hearts. You offer invisible permission to others to be bold, to be real, to take up space in their own sacred way. So no, you do not need to do something to change lives. You simply need to be. Be the Leo who laughs from the belly, who weeps when it hurts, who praises the light in others without fear of dimming your own. Be the Leo who dares to rest when tired, to rise when called, to speak when truth burns in your throat. That alone, my love, is enough. That alone can crack open a world inside someone else that they thought had long closed. You see, you are not just a sign. You are a symbol, a reminder from the stars that authenticity is not only powerful, it is holy. And the more you walk in that knowing, the more the universe will place in your path the very souls who need your light, not to worship it, but to remember their own. That is the true radiance of Leo, not domination, not control, but inspired liberation through pure, embodied being. Let this be a sacred reminder, dearest Leo. You may not always see the waves your presence creates. You may walk through your days unaware that your laughter, your tears, your silences, and your bold declarations are not just moments in time, but medicine to someone else's soul. And yet, beneath the surface of your ordinary, something extraordinary is unfolding. There is someone, perhaps just one man, whose spirit is quietly awakening because he has encountered you. Not the curated version, not the polished mask, but the real, raw, honest you. This man, whether known to you or not, is relearning how to love himself simply by witnessing how you hold space for yourself. You do not demand perfection before offering love. You do not shrink your brilliance to make others feel comfortable. You do not pretend to be unbreakable in order to be admired. Instead, you live truthfully, with all your golden cracks visible, and it is in that truth that he finds hope. You are modeling a kind of self-respect that does not rely on ego, a kind of light that shines from within, not from applause. He has spent years, perhaps decades, disconnected from his own worth, ashamed of his softness, fearful of being seen, unsure if he could ever be enough as he truly is. And now, because of you, he is beginning to believe again, not through grand speeches or dramatic acts, but through the quiet power of observation. He is learning that strength is not about walls, but about honesty. That self-love is not a performance, but a practice. That dignity doesn't come from meeting someone else's standards. It comes from standing fully in your own skin. Leo, your presence is a healing force. You don't have to fix anyone. You don't have to have the answers. You simply have to continue being who you are, with tenderness, with bravery, with unapologetic truth. That, in itself, is a lesson, a revelation, a sacred flame, and for someone in your orbit, it is the first warm light they've felt in a very long time. So if you ever question your worth, remember this. Somewhere, quietly, someone is becoming whole again, because you chose to be real. You are not just living, you are restoring. You are not just existing, you are teaching. Through your presence, you are reminding the world, and especially this man, that self-respect is possible, that light lives within, and that truth is always the most powerful form of love.